It's common to feel overlooked by someone you deeply care about, as though your emotions and efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. You invest love and dedication into the relationship, but they never seem to prioritize you, no matter how much you try. The sting of feeling insignificant can be painful. However, imagine if there were a way to shift this dynamic, to make the other person see you in a new light, to have them recognize your value and start treating you with the respect and attention you deserve. There are ways to change this pattern and become someone who others naturally prioritize in their lives. The key lies in understanding and implementing certain principles that transform how you present yourself, how you engage in relationships, and how you live your life. These ideas are not about manipulation or playing games, they're about genuinely becoming a person who commands respect, admiration, and attention in a natural, authentic way. One powerful idea is to avoid revealing everything about yourself too quickly. People are drawn to mystery. When everything is out in the open from the start, there's little left for the other person to discover or be intrigued by. You want to let your personality unfold gradually, much like a novel where each chapter reveals a little more of the plot. Let the other person work to understand you, to be curious about who you are. The unknown creates an allure, and that sense of mystery will pull people closer, making them want to learn more about you over time. Think about historical figures who have captivated people not just with their actions but with their enigmatic nature. Cleopatra, for example, was not just a ruler known for her beauty and power, part of her charm was the mystery she maintained, which intrigued those around her. This sense of unpredictability makes you more attractive, as it invites others to continuously seek out what they don't yet fully understand about you. In addition to maintaining a bit of mystery, it's essential to create a subtle fear of losing you. When someone feels that your presence in their life is guaranteed, they may take you for granted. But when they realize that you are independent, that you could choose to walk away, they begin to value you more. Your life is fulfilling in its own right, with or without them, and this air of self-reliance is highly attractive. You want them to understand that you are not someone who clings to others for happiness. Instead, you bring value and joy into their life, and if they don't appreciate it, they risk losing something precious. By fostering this subtle fear of loss, you shift the dynamic so that they start to see you as indispensable. At the same time, true happiness comes from within. Relying on someone else to make you happy puts too much pressure on the relationship, and it's ultimately unsustainable. People who are confident in themselves and who can generate their own sense of joy are magnetic. When you are happy with your own life, you don't need anyone to complete you, you are already whole. This is incredibly appealing to others because it shows that you are not seeking validation or fulfillment from them. Instead, you're offering to share your joy with them, and this light, positive energy naturally draws people toward you. Think about historical figures who embodied this kind of self-sufficiency and internal joy. Theodore Roosevelt, for instance, faced immense personal tragedies, including the loss of his wife and mother on the same day, yet he didn't let that break him. Instead, he found happiness in his pursuits, boxing, exploring, public service. His zest for life came from within, and that made him a compelling figure, both personally and as a leader. His ability to cultivate happiness regardless of external circumstances made him someone others were drawn to, not because he needed them, but because they wanted to be part of his world. Another important principle is to recognize your own value and make sure that others invest in you. If someone doesn't have to put any effort into a relationship, they are unlikely to value it as much. It's a common human tendency to take for granted the things that come easily. By allowing people to invest time, energy, and emotion into the relationship, you make yourself more important to them. The more someone invests, the more they feel connected to you. This isn't about playing hard to get, but about understanding that your time and attention are valuable. If someone wants to be a part of your life, they should work for it. In life, things that require effort are often the most rewarding. You want to position yourself as someone worth investing in, not someone who is easily obtained. Consider the relationship between Aristotle and Alexander the Great. Aristotle didn't make his wisdom readily available to just anyone, he presented it as something worth striving for. Alexander recognized this value and put in the effort to learn from him, understanding that the wisdom Aristotle offered was crucial to his own growth as a leader. By being someone others have to invest in, you ensure that they see you as valuable and worth holding on to. It's also essential to maintain a life outside of the relationship. You don't want to make someone the center of your world. Your life is filled with your own passions, dreams, and goals, and by keeping these at the forefront, you maintain a sense of independence that is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to those who have their own lives, who don't rely on others for their sense of self or purpose. When you have your own path and your own ambitions, you become a more dynamic and interesting person. This keeps others intrigued and prevents them from feeling like they are the sole focus of your attention. This idea is reflected in the life of Sir Isaac Newton. Despite his groundbreaking contributions to science, he didn't let his professional achievements consume his entire life. He maintained a rich personal life, filled with his own interests and friendships. This balance made him not only a brilliant scientist but also a well-rounded individual who was admired not just for his intellect, but for his ability to maintain his independence and personal depth. In relationships, this same principle applies. When you keep your own identity and pursuits intact, you become more appealing to others. Prioritizing your own needs is another critical aspect of becoming someone others value. You must never allow yourself to be treated as less than you deserve. It's vital to assert your own worth and ensure that you are in relationships where your needs are met and your feelings are respected. If you constantly put others first, you may find yourself in a situation where you are taken for granted or undervalued. By prioritizing your own well-being, you send a clear message that you will not tolerate being disrespected or overlooked. You are an equal in any relationship, and your happiness matters just as much as anyone else's. This principle of self-respect and prioritizing your own needs can be seen in the story of Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus, a Roman general who valued his personal integrity above all else. Despite being offered immense political power, he chose to return to his simple life on his farm when his duty was done, showing that his personal values were more important to him than external validation. By living according to his own principles and refusing to be swayed by the allure of power, he demonstrated the importance of self-respect and the strength that comes from knowing your own worth. Another vital lesson is not to be constantly available. Your time is valuable, and by not always being at someone's beck and call, you make them appreciate the moments they do have with you. If you are always accessible, it's easy for the other person to take your presence for granted. However, when you have your own passions, interests, and commitments, you show that your life is full and that your time is a precious resource. This makes the time you do spend together more meaningful. Think about the life of Ada Lovelace, a pioneering figure in the history of computer science. She wasn't always available to others because she was deeply engrossed in her own work and intellectual pursuits. By focusing on her own projects and not being constantly accessible, she maintained an air of intrigue and admiration. People were drawn to her not because she was always there but because she was deeply involved in her own world, making her presence that much more compelling when she did choose to engage with others. It's also important to stop being the one who always starts the conversation. If you're always the one reaching out, you might unintentionally send the message that you're too eager or that the other person doesn't need to put in any effort. Let the other person initiate contact sometimes, as this can reveal how invested they are in the relationship. When there's a balance in communication, it fosters mutual respect and effort. By not constantly seeking out the other person's attention, you show that you have a full life and that you're not dependent on them for interaction or validation. Emotional balance is crucial in any relationship. While emotions are a natural part of human interaction, it's important not to let them overwhelm you or dictate the dynamic of the relationship. Overly emotional responses can sometimes overshadow your true worth and make you seem too dependent on the other person for emotional stability. It's essential to maintain control over your emotions, showing that while you care deeply, you are also grounded and able to handle your feelings with grace and maturity. Finally, you must be willing to walk away from a relationship that doesn't honor your worth. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a relationship may not be healthy or respectful. In these cases, it's important to recognize your value and have the courage to leave. Walking away sends a powerful message, not just to the other person, but to yourself. It shows that you are unwilling to compromise your self-respect and that you know you deserve better. This principle is reflected in the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor known for his Stoic philosophy. Despite his immense power, Aurelius was willing to distance himself from alliances and relationships that didn't align with his values. He understood that his integrity and self-respect were worth more than the approval of others, and he had the strength to walk away when necessary. In relationships, this same sense of self-worth is essential. You must be willing to step away from anyone who doesn't appreciate you, knowing that you are enough on your own. In conclusion, if you want to become a person who others naturally prioritize, it's important to embrace these principles. Create a sense of mystery, cultivate self-reliance, recognize your own value, and ensure that others invest in you. Maintain your independence, prioritize your own needs, and don't always be available. Be willing to walk away if necessary, and keep your emotions balanced. By doing so, you'll command respect, admiration, and attention from those around you, naturally drawing people into your life who see and value your worth.